It sounds like just another radio show, but behind the microphone, there was no real person at all. An Australian radio station is now admitting they have been using an AI host for months without explicitly telling its audience. Workdays with T is Australian Radio Network's, or ARN's, daily 4-hour show featuring a mix of hip-hop, R&B, and pop. Launching in November 2024, the show was described as, quote, curated by our music experts. These are the songs that are charting or on the cusp of blowing up. Hear it first with T so you can boast it to your friends and say you were all over it first. But a local journalist received a tip questioning whether the host was actually real. In her article, Stephanie Coombs asked, what is T's last name? Who is she? Where did she come from? Pointing out there was no biography, no social media presence, and no backstory for the host. Coombs then compared T to other station hosts, noting they all had multi-paragraph biographies. When listening to the show and analyzing the tracks, she found T only spoke at the top of the hour, and the voice had repeated patterns, phrases, and similar intonation.
Playing on Kata in 2 minutes is The Weeknd, and then Lisa teaming up with Ray for Born Again.
And as for the photo on Kata's website, it belongs to a real employee in their finance department who goes by a different name. A reporter from the Australian Financial Review was eventually able to confirm that T was an AI entity and part of a trial use of a service providing an artificially generated voice that announces the songs. But to listeners, there was no indication T was AI. Teresa Lim, an Australian presenter and voice actor, took to LinkedIn saying, as an Asian Australian female human voice actor and presenter in the radio and advertising industry, I find this industry first move offensive on various levels. She went on to say, firstly, why weren't listeners told up front that you were trialing an AI host? Why isn't there any disclosure published on your program page or announced before, during, or after the show? Australia's media landscape is overseen by the Australian Communications and Media Authority, or ACMA. While there are no specific laws requiring broadcasters to disclose AI-generated content, last October, the ACMA released a proposal calling for stronger AI guardrails. They highlight risks like scams and deceptive practices, the spread of misinformation, and the creation of harmful content. In December, the Australian government introduced a bill that would give the ACMA enhanced powers to tackle misinformation, including content generated by AI. ARN chief executive called Workdays with T an experiment and told the Financial Review that T will continue broadcasting on Kata for now, which is the company owned by ARN.
Amazon's first batch of internet satellites rocketed into orbit on Monday, the latest entry in the mega constellation market currently dominated by SpaceX thousands of Starlinks. The United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carried up 27 of Amazon's Project Kuiper satellites, named after the fringes of our solar system beyond Neptune. Once released in orbit, the satellites will eventually reach an altitude of nearly 400 miles. Two test satellites were launched in 2023, also by an Atlas V project. Officials said major upgrades were made to the newest version. The latest satellite also are coated with a mirror film designed to scatter reflected sunlight in an attempt to accommodate astronomers.
6:36 right now. Now to those Harlem residents. They're desperate for help. Some tenants trapped on the ground floor, others drinking water from a hydrant. Trip's Ronnie Smith joins us live now to explain what went wrong. Some of these tenants even being told, just sleep downstairs.
That's right. And I just spoke with someone about 20 minutes ago who confirms that this morning there is still no water and no power, leading to a very frustrating situation. You might think that that's unbearable, but that's exactly what people who are living here are dealing with.
As you can see, there's no water.
Residents in the Canaan houses on West 118th Street in Harlem called News 4 for help to highlight the conditions that they're being forced to live in right now. Many of them seniors who lived here showed us units with no power, faucets with no working water, and toilets that can't flush. Right now, we're told that there is still no water or power, a situation that's sending people to the street curb to fill buckets with water from a fire hydrant. About a dozen residents told News 4 yesterday that New Hope community is not paying its bills, leaving them in this situation. The major concern is for the people who use wheelchairs and have no option but to sleep downstairs since the elevators are out of service.
So they telling us you could sleep in the community room. I don't think that's suitable for people to live like this.
I come down on the elevator, and by the time I come back, the elevator's out of service.
You're crooks, okay? And you should pay your bills like we pay our bills to you.
In a letter to residents, Hope Community, which manages the property, writing, quote, "We would like to sincerely apologize for the inconvenience caused by the unexpected electricity and water outage at various units. The outage has caused the water pump not to allow water to get to all units." Now, while that memo does acknowledge that they don't have water or power, what it doesn't do is acknowledge the reason and the cause behind the power and water outage, or when they're actually going to get it fully restored. So right now, they're being forced to deal with it, which is a very uncomfortable and unfortunate situation. We are live in Harlem this morning. Romney Smith, Today in New York.
Authors of a new report into the rental market say Australia's housing crisis is the worst it's ever been. Our reporter, Danushi Dias, is here in the studio to tell us more. Good morning to you.
Morning. Yeah, so for more than 15 years, Anglicare Australia has been doing this report. They basically look at rentals right around the country and then figure out which of those is actually affordable for people on low incomes. And so how they come to that affordability number, there's a lot of studies that have been done around the world in terms of what is affordable in today's cost of living. And they say that for a household with low income, it can't be, the cost of rent can't be over 30% if they don't want to experience financial stress. So this year, the report looked at over 51,000 rentals in the private market, and what they found in terms of what's affordable paints a really bleak picture. So let's look at some of the numbers. So for someone on a full-time minimum wage, so they're bringing in less than $1,000 a week, there were just over 350 rentals that were affordable. For people on disability support and the age pension, also left with barely any options. And for someone unemployed and looking for works on the job seeker payment, only 3 affordable options out of that 51,000 rental listings. And for a young person on youth allowance, not a single rental was affordable. So the report's authors say that this has created a really desperate situation. Just a couple of weeks ago, ABC released some data, and they were looking at how quickly the average rent has outpaced our incomes. In Perth, it's grown 5 times faster than the median income. And it's 5 times faster, yeah. And it's a similar story in Melbourne, Sydney and other capital cities. So it's really difficult, to imagine what some people are going through just to get that basic need of housing met. So the report's authors are saying that, this is a problem that the government really needs to keep on top of the agenda. And whoever comes in to power next will have to commit to 25,000 new public and social homes every single year for the next 2 decades.
Nearly 200 households have been evacuated in the coastal city of Cape Town in South Africa after a raging fire began around the Table Mountains on Friday. Much of the fire burnt down the inaccessible areas of the mountain as hundreds of families were told to move out of their homes by the municipality for fears of losing their lives. The fire has drawn at least 100 firefighters fighting 5 fire fronts, with evacuation ordered in Streetburg Estate, Zwanskis and Noordhoek Manor. The fire began on Friday in an area known as Tokai, and by Monday morning there hadn't been any flare-ups reported according to officials. The cause of the fire is still unknown, and so far only 1 injury has been reported of a firefighter. The Western Cape Department of Environmental Affairs and Development said that the wildfire has not yet been brought under control and that government agencies have mobilized all available resources to combat the fire. Some areas of the Table Mountain National Park have been temporarily closed, while the cause of the fire is still unclear.
At least 26 people, including women and children, were killed in northeastern Nigeria when explosive devices detonated on a busy road on Monday. The attack targeted vehicles travelling between the towns of Ran and Gamburu in Borno State. Police say the bombs were planted by ISWAP, an Islamic State affiliate active in the region. Most victims were local farmers and traders in a pickup truck that struck a landmine. At least 3 others were injured. ISWAP, a breakaway faction of Boko Haram, claimed responsibility. The group continues to wage a brutal insurgency that has killed tens of thousands and displaced millions across Nigeria and its neighbours.
Sudan's paramilitary group, Rapid Support Forces, RSF, have executed 31 people, including children, in Khartoum's twin city of Omdurman. The killings, first reported by Sudan Doctors Network, has been termed a war crime. The victims were executed by the RSF, claiming they were associated with Sudanese army. The videos shared on social media showed armed personnel in RSF uniforms shooting at a group of people in the Al-Salah neighborhood. The Sudan Doctors Network has said that victims included several minors, adding that the killings were the largest documented mass killings in the region. It has appealed to the international community to take urgent action in a bid to rescue the remaining civilians by opening safe routes to ensure their exit from Al-Salah. So far, there has been no comment on the incident by the RSF, and neither the Sudanese armed forces or the government have released a statement. Since war between the RSF and Sudanese armed forces erupted in April of humanitarian crises.
What's the legal route from someone fleeing the war in Sudan?
There are legal routes, and we are not able to save every single person, who is fleeing a war-torn country. We cannot look after the entire world. We are an island of 60-70 million people. We don't have the capacity to absorb that, and we also have a welfare state, very, very high standards, which means that there's a big difference between someone in Sudan seeking asylum in a nearby country and the expectations there, and what they get here, which is thousands and thousands in welfare, in rented accommodation, in legal fees. Who is paying for that?
Great. Jeff Bezos was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly, and he did the right thing, and he's a good guy. Yeah, nothing that really, he's a good guy. I've gotten to know him over the last couple of years, and he's done a fantastic job. So I appreciated what he did.
The White House reacted swiftly Tuesday to a report that e-commerce giant Amazon will soon show customers the increased cost of the Trump tariffs on each item that they purchase. The issue came up at a White House briefing, with the press secretary calling it hostile. According to Punchbowl News, Amazon will display how much of an individual item's price is specifically a result of tariffs. That number will be displayed right next to the product's listed total. The report did not say when such pricing will begin. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt reacted this way, saying she had just spoken with President Trump about Amazon's pricing move.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise, because as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
As Straight Arrow News has reported, China-based fashion companies Shein and Temu have added surcharges to their products recently. CNBC notes that Temu has a listing at checkout for an import charge. It shows the 145% tariff or levy that President Trump has imposed on Chinese-made products coming into the U.S. In addition, the international shipping company, DHL, this week resumed shipping packages valued at more than $800 to American customers. It did so just 1 week after announcing it was stopping those shipments due to new U.S. customs rules that are tariff-related. Last week, DHL said the 10% tariffs imposed by the Trump administration had led to more extensive inspections upon $800 or more packages entering the U.S. The company said that process had a ripple effect of extra work, causing delays. The Amazon move comes after founder Jeff Bezos attended President Trump's inauguration in January and reportedly donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund. In addition, Amazon touts it reached $35 billion in sales in 2023 with more than 6 million customers. Amazon is now denying that it is planning to display the tariffs. Reuters is reporting that Amazon said it never considered listing that on its retail site or implementing
I really hope y'all are paying attention because Citibank is having a nationwide outage currently as of the time of you watching this video. And just the other day in parts of Europe, there was a massive blackout, a massive power outage. There's a lot of weird things going on currently. And this is more than just a coincidence because you even have ports looking empty, and that's being blamed on tariffs. It seems to me as if they are preparing for something major to come here soon, at least from my viewpoint. Everything is more than just a coincidence that's going on currently. I know I'm not the only one that feels like this. You have these blackouts, you have these outages with banks, and the list goes on. Something major is definitely on the way, y'all. Y'all need to prepare. Y'all need to wake up and realize what exactly is going on, because this is more than just a coincidence.
Let's be honest. There is not a single country that strengthened its security as a result of joining NATO. Poland, the Baltic states, and more recently Finland and Sweden are good examples of this. The status of non-aligned countries gave them certain advantages due to their geopolitical position and many other factors. And now they are in a hostile bloc towards us. This means that they automatically became a target for our armed forces, including possible retaliatory strikes, possibly even nuclear, or preventive measures within the framework of the Russian military doctrine. They carefully learned the guideline of their predecessors. Unfortunately, to reformat this approach in the near future is unrealistic. The only thing that stops them is a threat of retaliation. Our possible response to their boasted principle of peace through strength. What is the answer, you may ask? But the answer is clear. Unfortunately, the answer is through the doctrine of peace through fear. The fear is still working, the rest is not.
На их хваленый принцип «мир через силу».
Україна.